Hey folks, Nick here from Another BookTube channel, and today I'll be going through my June reading wrap-up. I had a pretty good reading month. I felt like I paced myself a little bit better this time. I didn't rush through a lot of books. I didn't force myself to read too many to hit a certain quota. I think I read 15 things between novels and graphic novels. Pretty good mix, some of which I had a really bad time with, and some of which I had a really excellent time with. I also did DNF one book this month. I'm going to go through everything now, starting from least enjoyed to most enjoyed. And we'll start with that DNF, and that is The Night Church by Whitley Strieber. I don't know what to make of Strieber. The first book I read by him was The Wolfen, and I loved The Wolfen. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was well-paced, well-written, exciting, interesting, story. Yeah, it was so good. And then the next book I read by him was The Forbidden Zone, and that was one of the worst pieces of shit I've ever read in my life. That book was awful. The Night Church was better than The Forbidden Zone, but I still couldn't finish it because I was just so bored by it. And I should have really enjoyed it. This is, on the surface, a pretty interesting book, and it's not poorly written at all. It's got a lot of things that happen. It starts quickly, it gets right into the action, but the way that it is told is so plotting. Whitley Strieber he's almost too literary for his own good. Just get the words out faster. Let's just move on. This is, as far as plot goes, it starts in the middle. The book begins with a cult, within the church, who is trying to bring about, either Satan or the Antichrist or whatever by having a ritual performed. A chosen girl and boy are to copulate and give birth to this demonic entity, and it goes awry. That's how the book begins. Interesting start, but damn, it was just so slow, and somehow it made that plot so uninteresting. Yeah, I got so bored, and it just did not work for me. So books that I finished. This is an interesting book. This is like an experimental book called Eunoia by Christian Bock. He is a poet, I believe, and this is really more of a kind of exercise in poetry than anything. Eunoia is a strange little book that it was a challenge that Bach gave himself to write a book where each chapter only uses one vowel of the alphabet. So Eunoia itself, the word, is the shortest word in the English language that contains all 5 vowels. And so there's 5 chapters in here corresponding to each vowel. So first one is A, E, I, O, U. You know the vowels. And he's not allowed to use any vowel in any word other than the one that's selected for that chapter. It is a really interesting experiment, and I appreciate him doing it. It is a very impressive feat. As far as the contents of the book, there's not much of a plot to speak of, though Bach did give himself some rules, some of which were that each chapter needed to feature a meal, each chapter needed to feature a sexual act, and there were some other rules as well. And I'll actually give you an example of just one paragraph. This is the opening paragraph for chapter I. And it's really impressive. Writing is inhibiting. Sighing, I sit scribbling in ink this pigeon script. I sing with nihilistic witticism, disciplining signs with trifling gimmicks, impish hijinks which highlight stick sigils. Isn't it glib? Isn't it chic? I fit childish insights within rigid limits, writing shtick which might instill priggish misgivings in critics blind with hindsight. I dismiss nitpicking criticism which flirts with Philistinism. I bitch, I kibitz, griping whilst criticizing dimwits, sniping whilst indicting nitwits, dismissing simplistic thinking in which philippic wit is still illicit. Cool. Like, cool that he was able, like, the chapter goes on. Like, it's like a 100-page book, so he gets a lot of distance out of these few words. But it just, I don't know, like, beyond it being an experiment that's kind of neat, like, it wasn't super enjoyable. Like, I couldn't really follow most of it. It was just kind of like, how many words can I put in a row that use the same vowel, you know? So, impressive, but not really enjoyable. Next up, The Bridge Over the River Kwai by Pierre Boulle, or Boulle. Translated by, this translation is by, oh, I should have had this ready, Zan Fielding. I am familiar with, I was familiar with the movie, The Bridge on the River Kwai. I like the movie title better. I think on is cleaner than over. From 1957. Really good movie. I remember enjoying it. I haven't seen it recently. This was a disappointment. This book is about hundreds of British soldiers have been captured by the Japanese army during World War II, and they are made to build this bridge over the River Kwai because the Japanese army is going to use this like shortcut through the jungle to move a ton of machinery and weaponry and things like that to continue their conquest of additional lands. The British colonel, Colonel Nicholson, stands up to the Japanese, but not in a like rebellious way where like he says like, we're not going to do it. He says like, we'll do it, but we're going to do it my way. So he uses his extreme pridefulness to convince the Japanese to let him and his officers like wear their uniforms, not be part of the manual labor, just command their men because their men listen to them more than they listen to the Japanese. And he sets out to build the best goddamn bridge this town has ever seen. And unbeknownst to him, his other members of the British Army, explosives unit, are trying to figure out how to blow up this bridge that's being built on the River Kwai. So those are two separate stories that are happening simultaneously. And it is a sort of, it is an interesting premise. I think the movie does it a lot better because you get to kind of see Colonel Nicholson in action and be endeared to him a bit more. This did not endear me to him in any way. His rationale and his behavior comes off as idiotic and just like ill-advised. I never at any point was like, yeah, good for him doing, sticking up for himself and never losing his pride and for always like showing that he was superior to the Japanese enemy army. No, I was like, why is he doing this? Like, just his men were sabotaging it. Like, they were like pretending to be stupid and they were messing up the bridge on purpose. And then he stepped in and he made them do it right. Like, just let them keep sabotaging it. Like, the whole pride portion didn't come across in the book to me. And the other bits of the explosive unit trying to destroy the bridge was just super boring. So yeah, the book just kind of fell flat. I'd have to give the movie a rewatch to see, if it really was as good as I remember. But this is like your quintessential. Your dad loves this book. Your dad reads this and he's like, oh, you see, it's about because he's proud and because and then he says something like really bad about the Japanese, and it's like, okay, well, I'll see you next week. So it's like that kind of book. All right, next up, The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. I really have enjoyed a lot of T. Kingfisher. Well, not a lot. I've read a handful of T. Kingfisher books, and I really enjoyed a few of them. A House with Good Bones I really liked. What Moves the Dead I really liked. This was not very good. This was really disappointing. It starts out very strong. This is about a young woman named who goes by Mouse, moves into her grandma's cabin. Moves in. She goes there. The grandma's passed away, and the cabin needs to be cleaned out and determined, can it be cleaned and can this be sold, or does the land just need to be leveled? Because the grandma was a hoarder, so who knows what awaits Mouse when she goes there. And naturally, she discovers some strange things going on in the woods. She finds a journal from her grandfather who had died years prior, alluding to things in the woods that he refers to as the Twisted Ones. And there's some good creepy bits early on in here, and then right around the 3/4 mark, you get this like shift in setting, and it sucks. It's so stupid. I still don't understand this book. I buddy read this with my partner and our best friend, and neither of them understood it either. Like, it was, all of us were just like, this book is nothing. There's nothing here. It's not that it's difficult. It's that there was just nothing there to really grab onto. So that was a big letdown, honestly. All right, first comic I will talk about is The Question, Volume 2, Poisoned Ground. This is a collection, collects the question number 7 through 12. I really enjoyed the first volume of The Question. Oh, and it's written by Denny O'Neil with art by Dennis Cowan and Rick Magyar. This was a letdown of a second volume. There's three stories in here that are just standalone, which are fine, where like the Question fights off against this guy who is like, I guess, a werewolf or something. I don't know. Pretty like standard type of monster of the month, or villain of the month type of comics. There is one story arc in there that's 3 issues long about the Question's confidant and basically sidekick Aristotle, who gets kidnapped and brought to this South American country by like a lunatic madman who used to know him in college or something. It was just kind of like, it was a little all over the place. I was really let down by this volume of it. Real bummer. Art's great, but not too strong of a story. Next up, The Plague by Albert Camus. This was fine. This was really a really good, just kind of like middle of the road, kind of just like classic novel. I kind of see why it's a classic. I see why people might really enjoy it. I didn't get too much out of it. This is set in, I think it's the 40s. Yeah, the 40s, in the town of Oran, which is in Algeria. And as the title describes, a plague breaks out in the town. A bubonic plague spread by the rats in the town. And it's just the story of a doctor and a reporter and a few different folks who are quarantined within the town, stuck in there, and how they behave during the outbreak, how others behave around them, how their attitudes towards the plague itself change, how their attitudes about the world change during that. I, as someone who has himself lived through a bit of a plague, which is crazy to say, I was hoping to relate to it a little bit more. There were definitely some bits in here that did strike me and hit home, but for the most part, I think I was. It felt distant. I couldn't really get super into it. It was well done, but nothing. I didn't see what was too special about it, and I'm sure people who are into literature more than I am might get more out of it than I did. All right, everything from this point on, I do recommend. First up, this is a graphic novel called The Spotted Stone by Rick Veitch. This is part of his Panel Vision series. This is something he did direct to Amazon. He publishes, you can order this from Amazon.com directly from him. And it's a really quick, I don't even know how many pages it is, maybe like 64 or something. It is a wordless comic that, very clear lines, very simple to understand, one panel per page. I think that's why it's called Panel Vision. In this particular story, a woman who's living in a tech-obsessed world, everybody's head's always on their phones or in some kind of screen. She gets knocked on the head with this strange spotted stone that, when she picks it up, transports her to another world and another life that she much prefers. Very simple stuff, very on the nose, kind of obvious story to it. I think that works fine considering it is a wordless comic. I think Veitch's art is pretty solid. And the comic itself was only $7, 7 USD. So if you're a Rick Veitch fan and you want some more like new work by him, check this out. I got to check out some more of his panel vision stuff as well. See if it's similar to that. All right, next up, this is this one was nuts. The Captors by John Farris. This is a story of a kidnapping that is not quite what it seems. I wish that I could tell you more. I really do. But to tell you basically anything about this book is to spoil some kind of surprise in it. I will just say that at no point while reading this book did I ever have any idea what was going to happen next. This book rode a really thin line. It would consistently approach making no sense whatsoever. Like, this was bordering on total nonsense. But it was clear enough where I'm like, I do follow this. I just don't get the logic. I just don't get how we got here. And then it all just kind of gets explained, and it's like, well, that's kind of stupid, but I do understand it. So this ended up being a very fun book. Didn't go in any direction I expected it to. This is a weird one that goes a lot of weird places. It's really like kind of to me quintessential like, what is this, 1960s? Yeah, late 1960s, early 70s trashy paperback horror. So if you're into that genre, then The Captors by John Farris should work for you. And what a great cover too! Doesn't that look great? But yeah, wild book. And sometimes, honestly, I wish it went a little bit further. I wish it was a little bit gorier, a little bit more violent. There are moments of it. Don't believe that the pull quote on the front, like, scenes of gibbering horror guaranteed to turn the blood to gelatin. That's from the New York Times. It's like, there's nothing blood gelatin inducing in here. It's pretty standard kind of violence. All right, up next, back to comics. Serenity, Those Left Behind, written by Joss Whedon, Brett Matthews, with art by Will Conrad. I recently finished rewatching Firefly for who knows how many, the manyth time. One of my favorite shows. I absolutely love it. So I decided to also reread the comic, which bridges the gap between the end of the show, or the end of the show, just the sudden cancellation of the show, and the movie Serenity. So that's what this is. If you are a fan of the show and the movie, and you want to know, how they got to that point in the movie, this really quick graphic novel explains it. It's only 3 issues long. It also, reintroduces other supporting characters from the show. You find out what happens with the men with the blue hands that are absent from the movie after being such a threat during the show. So you get those questions answered, as well as how the gang ended up kind of separated a bit after the show ended. So really good, and really good artwork too. The characters all look like their counterparts from the screen. All right, next up, we've got graphic novel Ginseng Roots by Craig Thompson. I have already kind of cooled off on this book. I posted a review of it earlier this month where I spoke very highly of it, and I still agree with everything that I said there. I think it is a very impressive artistic achievement, and I encourage you to watch that review for more about what the book's actually about and the story. I'll just say that over time, just me being away from it for a couple weeks, what little emotional attachment I had to it, which was very little to begin with, is like gone. I don't really look back on the book and think of it as time really well spent. I mean, the artwork was so beautiful that made it worth it. But as far as like what I've learned about ginseng, I don't know, was it worth it? As far as what I learned about Craig Thompson, was it really worth it? I do still want to read his other books, but Ginseng Roots, I think, is a remarkable achievement for its artwork, for its level of detail, its level of research, and for what it conveys. And if you're into the topic, I think you'll really love it. But I'm just not into ginseng. Like, I just don't care about ginseng all that much. So What can you do? All right, next up, Catwoman on the Trail of the Catwoman. This is volume 1 of Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook's run, or Darwin Cook leaves the series pretty early, so it's volume 1 of Ed Brubaker's run. This collection also includes, it begins with the standalone graphic novel Selena's Big Score. And this was a lot of fun, particularly the issues drawn by Darwin Cook and the ones where he's inked by Michael Allred. I think they are a perfect artist couple. Like Michael Allred inking over Darwin Cook looks fantastic. They go so well together. But this is the beginning of a new Catwoman series from, I think it was 2000. A lot of fun. Takes the character and contextualizes it into what Darwin Cook particularly loves, which is like the heist genre. I've been reading his Parker graphic novels, and I love those. It's very clear that he was influenced while doing this Catwoman, because he came up with the story. He wrote it with Ed Brubaker, and I think Darwin Cook really was like, I love these Parker books. I want to do something like that, but with a DC Comics character. Catwoman's perfect for it. She is. It works great. There's even a character in there named Stark, who is Richard Stark, who wrote the Parker novels, and it's just really cool to see. Like, he did this before he did any of the Parker comics, so this was his like getting to play in that genre for a little while, and then he just does the Parker graphic novels. It's fantastic. I had a lot of fun reading it. The heists are awesome. The artwork is incredible. It's really hard-boiled. Just really cool. Really cool comic. Comics should be cool sometimes, and this one is. Okay, next up, I got a Stephen Graham Jones book, Mapping the Interior. I read Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones earlier this year. It remains, I think, the best book I've read this year so far. It's fantastic. That being said, I'm not always a fan of Stephen Graham Jones. I did not like his J. Daniels trilogy much. I also I didn't care for Night of the Mannequins. Mapping the Interior is another novella by him. This is a reprint. It's a republication. It's about 10 years old, maybe a little less at this point. But this new edition just came out. So I went into it tentatively still, and ended up really enjoying it. This is another one of those where it's not quite what you expect. It's about a 12-year-old boy who goes by Junior. He, his mom, and his younger brother are living in a modular home. And he sees his dad one night in the middle of the night walk through the home. And what's weird about that is that his dad's been dead for 8 years. So we're like, ooh, spooky. Is it like a haunting or what like that? And then that's not really what the book is about at all. It's really more so about the grieving process and loss, and trying really hard to get over that loss, and not quite succeeding at it, and it being just a part of your life forever. And what really worked for me in this is Junior's relationship with his little brother Dino. There was one particular scene in here that just shattered my heart completely. It was just so sad. And I don't know, it was very specific. I don't know if anybody else would feel the same way about it, but I really connected with the brothers in here. And it had a real bummer ending, which kind of honestly took this down a little bit in my estimation. I was hoping for not quite as much of a bummer ending, but Stephen Graham Jones can't help himself sometimes. But this is really good. I read this in a day. I had a lot of fun with it, despite it being really sad. All right, another comic book, Blacksad, Volume 1 by Juan Diaz Canales and Juanjo Guarnido. This volume collects the first 3 books in the Blacksad series. This is a detective series in which all the characters are anthropomorphic animals. Blacksad himself is a cat. The first story follows him investigating the murder of a former lover of his. The second one follows a plot involving communists, I think. And then the third one involves racism. So it escalates quickly in terms of like the themes and how intense like of the stories that it's dealing with. But what is consistent throughout is phenomenal artwork. If you read Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees within the past year or two when that came out, and you loved the style of that, using cute animals to tell this really horrific story, this is very similar in style. This came well before it. This is an older series, but really captures the excellent feeling of that hard-boiled detective with the character Blacksad. He's got a great voice to him. Feels like he's just right out of a Raymond Chandler novel. It's just great, and the mysteries are really solid. They're just as twisty and engaging as those old detective novels as well. I had a lot of fun with Blacksad. I thought it was really good. All right, we're in the top 3 now, and this one, I think any other month, this book probably would have been the top book for me because I really did love it. And this is Fletch's Fortune by Gregory MacDonald, the third Fletch novel. I was really let down by Confess, Fletch, the second book. I still liked it, but I felt like Fletch didn't have too much to actually do in it. He didn't solve the mystery in it himself. Another character did, and he did it off screen. Fletch's Fortune is 100% Fletch being Fletch. Irwin Fletcher is one of my favorite characters ever. I love reading this asshole son of a bitch bastard who is so smarmy and just is so self-serving. He's such a fun joy to read. As a human being in real life, he would be miserable. I would hate this man, but he's not. He's a fictional character, and Gregory MacDonald just writes him to be so funny and just so charming and so endearing. You can't help but root for him when he's being a jerk to so many people. In Fletch's Fortune, he is, Fletch is an out-of-work journalist at this time. He is recruited by the CIA, blackmailed by the CIA to go to a journalist convention for them and basically wiretap all the rooms and speak to people and get dirt on the other journalists there. But as he arrives there, the head of the journalism people, I forget what it's called, but is killed. The person throwing the convention is killed, murdered, and now Fletch has to scoop the story before anyone else does. And it's a convention full of journalists, so everyone is trying to scoop the story as quickly as possible. It's a blast. It's so much fun, and the strength of it so much lies on the shoulders of Fletch as a character. And like I said, I love him. He's so much fun to read. It's quickly paced, great mystery, good twists and turns, really funny, just kind of the perfect, almost kind of popcorn book. Just excellent fun time. The best graphic novel I read this month. This is another one where this one could probably also be the top spot. This one is more specific and personal for me. You might not enjoy it as much. That's Muybridge by Guy Delisle. I also did a review of this one during the month. This is a graphic novel biography of Edward Muybridge, the famous photographer who was basically the first man in the world to capture moving images. He was a pioneer of moving images, movies. That is a topic that is very special and important to me. It's what I studied in school. The film history is my background. I knew about Muybridge because of that, but I didn't know about his whole life. This graphic novel covers his starting with photography all the way to his death, and all of his various projects that he worked on. It's terrific. It is very cleverly done. It's drawn beautifully. It's paced beautifully. Guy Delisle really plays with the material in fun ways throughout to really play with the concept of moving images. He includes real photography, real photographs from Muybridge in the story as well. so you get to see what he was actually photographing back then. It's just terrific. I loved it. This one, if you like that topic, you would love it as well. It might not be for everybody though. It's just kind of my niche. But the best book I read this month, and yeah, it honestly, even though I loved Fletch's Fortune and Muirbridge, I could not put this at the top. The Gathering Storm by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson. This is maybe my favorite Wheel of Time book. It's at least in the top 3, or maybe even top 2. It's Sanderson's first Wheel of Time that he wrote when he took over for Jordan after his passing, and he crushes it. This is phenomenal. I also posted a review of this on the channel, so you can check that out for more. But in short, Egwene becomes my favorite character in here, which is an incredible accomplishment considering how much I love Perrin and how little Egwene kind of stands out in the early books. She's very subtly in the background, picking up and learning things from people, and she's not really showy. Now she finally gets to show off. It's glorious. I love The Gathering Storm. One of my favorite Wheel of Time books. And that's it. That's everything I read in June. Let me know your thoughts if you read any of those books. Let me know in the comments what you thought of them. Let me know what your favorite books that you read this month were. Thank you very much for spending some time with me today. But now it's time to get back to reading.